Jason, we're back with another Screaming and Driving after an eventful DIFF Day 1.
Screaming and driving.
Screaming and driving. And we made so many friends.
You know what's been sticking in my head recently? This is not having anything to do with DIFF, but I've been wanting to mention it to you. Like, the NWA lyric, "We make hardcore jams, so give us respect," is a really weird lyric for them. I know this is like complete.
No, but okay, because of the hardcore part?
I guess just because, no, the give me respect part. Like, all right, so day 1 at DIFF, and we've finished it up. We started off the day with an interview of Adrian Pilecki and Austin Nichols, the director and star, if you flip the names, of a new movie that doesn't have distribution yet. Not that I'm aware of anyway. We did not get that information from...
It doesn't.
But I don't think it has distribution yet. So it is a lot of different things. It's a lot of different things that you've seen before.
It's a scruffy underdog story.
Yeah, it's Meatballs, it's Dodgeball, it's Caddyshack, it's part Tin Cup. It's
Part Flaked on Netflix, if you've seen that.
It's a love letter to Austin. It is filmed by Austinites, or an old Austin Nichols, who
Austin Nichols, who was raised in Austin.
Until he was 18, and then went to California, because that was the place he ought to be.
I was just gonna.
And then made this movie. He didn't write it. I guess he wrote it with a partner of his, right? So I guess he had a hand in writing it. But the interview went well. We only had 10 minutes with him. But that was...
I thought it went really well.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought they really liked this, and I thought they were going to make us a part of Salamander King too, if that actually kicks me off the ground.
Yeah, I think they're supposed to get in touch with our agents.
Get in touch with our people.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk Salamander King first?
Yeah. Let's touch on Salamander King. I mean,
So this is a movie about Ryan Hansen, who is from Party Down, and Veronica Mars, who we've talked about on this podcast, and is a Matthew McConaughey stand-in at a municipal golf course, in Austin. And with the influx of tech money and tech bros and big money into Austin.
And not just that, but the kind of like LA lifestyle, right? The kind of bougie, all the bad parts of that lifestyle.
Right. The idea of this LA lifestyle where they sold their house and they could buy 3 houses with the money that they bought, when they sold their houses in California.
Which, can we talk about that? Sure. Because the houses here are not cheap. But which just seems kind of like weird that like we're not
on par with California, or
right?
Like,
but we got to be close, right?
All I know is that
the median house price here is like $400,000,
right?
Like in Fort Worth.
But I think the median house price in a lot of these places is at least double that.
Okay.
I know that when there was there was a supposed influx of people from California into Austin, that people were not only buying the house that they wanted to buy, but they would buy the people that were in the house their next house, essentially. It was that lucrative for them, right?
Gotcha.
And in order to get the houses that they wanted. So it's not too far for me to, it's not too far of a stretch for me to believe that 1.2 million goes a way further, and just in regards of space and McMansions and all that kind of horseshit that we have out here.
Right.
The amount of land that we have is, I know California and Texas are on par in regards to mass, but the amount of like just open spaces and land that we have out here, and the square footage in homes would lend itself to these guys being able to afford a lot more house for a lot less. But anyway, that's the story of this. So the story of this movie is corporate greed's taking over this municipal court. Municipal court's kind of upside down, and Austin is upside down in its budget, which is a lot of these things that this movie actually got really right. That this is people who had been a part of Austin, who knew Austin, who like kind of knew the haunts and the places where the locals go.
The regular joints, right?
The Keep Austin Weird people. Those are Do you
think there were enough Keep keep Austin weird people in the film.
No, I don't. I mean, that's the. I mean, and it's weird to think that like these filmmakers would still kind of gatekeep this, especially because of like it's not. There's no real gatekeeping anymore, especially in like these types of scenarios, right? There's no, and I don't know in Austin today, like, you can spit out the window and hit a good restaurant in Austin, right? I mean, like,
right.
And if nothing else, an authentic one that provides a vibe, right? So I don't think that comes in spades there. I don't know. I mean, like, but I don't think that there's. I think this could have done a lot. I know that when we talked to them, they didn't want to make this so specific that it only translated to Austin folks. But I do think they kind of towed the line almost. They towed the line and they kind of rode the fence where it's almost not Austin enough, and it's still too Austin for people who aren't Austin, right?
Right.
Like, I mean, if you didn't want to call it, if you didn't want people to like connect with it, I don't know how this connects really outside of Texas or people who are familiar with Texas. I mean, look, overall, I think we were on the same page regarding the movie. This movie it has a lot of trappings of these other films that you've watched. There's a ragtag group of locals, or these kind of nerds. It's again, it's or these kids don't have a lot of money. It's every story you've ever seen where it is the underdog, the bad news bears that are taking on the big corporations.
Right. Which is fine, right? I mean, it's like the Die Hard on a blank model, right?
Right.
I mean, yeah.
And I think we both thought that this movie it's not quite funny enough. It doesn't quite go hard enough, and it misses a lot of the beats that what makes those movies that we've mentioned like classic movies, right? Yeah. There's not real great chemistry between the two leads, and then we kind of, and I don't think there really needs to be, but we force upon them a love story that doesn't need to be there.
Right. I was going to say the love story doesn't need to happen, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to. It could be platonic.
Right, and it should.
I mean, she needs to leave like the tech bro boyfriend, sure. Because I mean, I also thought that this story was in a way her story in terms of growth as well, or at least I think that was part of the intention. And so I think because of that, she doesn't need to jump right into the arms of another man, right? It doesn't have to.
Yeah, she doesn't need to define herself.
She doesn't need to do that. She doesn't need to hook up with Ryan Hansen or his character to sort of complete that arc.
Right. And it's a really weird hookup scene too.
It is.
Where she like kind of just jumps him and then we cut to an Airstream kind of pseudo rocking a little bit. It wasn't like there's a lot of elements here that almost work, and then the rest of it's just it heard of those movies but didn't quite watch them. And I think to me the biggest failing is like there's nothing really exciting about the challenge of the film. So the movie, the golf course is trying to become profitable, and our Chevy Chase character has one idea, and our Christine Taylor from Dodgeball character has another idea of how to do it, and she's more pragmatic and going through and reducing the budget and increasing greens fees and all this kind of stuff, and he wants to just do this like tournament. That's all fine and good, but we don't have any sort of like excitement in regards to like reducing a budget for, like, if Meatballs was all about reducing the camp's budget and not getting one over on the bad guys, the movie sucks, right? And like in this case, we don't see enough of the bad guys. We don't really we show them, but it's not just enough to like go in and say they're all tech bros and we should just immediately hate them. Right. We need to see them evil. We need to see them conniving. We need to see them much more than we do. And there needs to be some sort of challenge between the two that these guys can one up. There needs to be the Nerd Olympics, the College Olympics at Adams College, where the nerds can win, right, based on their own goodness. It's the Billy Madison, like all of these, they're all the same, right?
Were you going to say Billy Gilmore?
I was going to say Billy Gilmore because I was conflating the two with the golf movie with the Happy Gilmore. But there's, and that's the biggest criminal thing in this is there's really no golf in a golf movie. And I think had there been a tournament, or had that tournament been a challenge between good versus evil,
Yeah.
where good can overcome it. I don't think this movie is ever going to lay new ground necessarily. It was never really started out to be that way, but it would be way more memorable if it just followed the same beats of the movies that it purports to be, taking inspiration from.
And with that, but again, with that gentrification kind of spin, right?
Right.
Which
is the interesting part of the film, right?
The
that's the interesting message of the film, right? Yes.
Is that gentrification, that sort of loss of culture and identity.
And I think Austin's the perfect, example of that, right? It's the one that seems to struggle. And again, I don't necessarily really care if this movie translates outside of Austin, to be quite fair. And I do think that had you kind of dove in, I think Austin has enough of a mythos in regards to that it could have really worked. Yeah. Right. I mean, I don't know. I know you're low budget. I know there's limitations on what you can do, but throwing a Willie Nelson, cameo, or throwing. I mean, there's other throwing a Linklater cameo or things because you use Linklater people. It's you're using a lot of Austin actors, but they're not. I mean, they're not enough, right? They're just not. It's not going to translate. Most of those people, unless you know who they are and are well steeped in films that are made in Austin, you may not know who those people are. Right. So all that being said, I think we are overly harsh on all movies in general.
This is true.
It's absolutely okay. It is a very solid C- film. I don't think you're going to be disgusted with it. I just didn't. There's nothing that's going to it's not going to be memorable.
Right. I think what we are disappointed in is that it doesn't sort of take a place next to or near those movies that it references. Right. It doesn't really crank. It doesn't lean in enough to that. It doesn't go hard enough to really then fit in. Yeah. And
it makes some really, really silly, really, really silly and kind of sophomoric turns as far as filmmaking go in regards to, well, not really filmmaking, but necessarily storytelling, in the way that it spells out the certain motivations of certain characters, and it's just. It's okay. It was fun to interview them. It was fun to talk to them about the points that we thought were interesting. And we'll post that a little bit later as well. And if the filmmaker's listening to this, no offense, but it just wasn't. This wasn't the movie for us. And thank you for taking the time to speak with us.
No offense. Thanks for talking to us. And we just thought that, knowing your talents, it should have
I think
elevated more.
Right. I think it could have been elevated more.
Yeah.
And so we saw two other films today. We saw Daniela Forever in Omaha.
Oh, right.
So do you want to talk Omaha first?
I forgot that we actually sat through two other movies too. Yeah, I mean, let's just take them in order and let's talk about Omaha, especially because it's the real downer of the two.
Boy, is it.
But I mean, I think as far as that goes, we can probably devote more time to Daniela Forever.
Yeah, I think
Omaha. I mean, tell us the plot line of Omaha.
So,
Jason.
Evidently, somewhat based on true happenings. Yeah. Back in 2008, Nebraska signed some sort of law that allowed people as a safe haven to. There would be no repercussions if you abandoned your children. I think I remember reading about this or when it happened, right?
Yeah.
It vaguely sounds familiar.
And this is not, I mean, this idea is not new necessarily, but what was new was that it didn't matter what age they were.
Right. A lot of 17-year-olds were getting dropped off, which rightfully so. If you've ever had a 17-year-old.
Right. If you've ever been a 17-year-old.
And so, look, you don't know any of this going into the film, right? The movie's called Omaha. You don't really know why. But we pick up with a man and his two children, and he's waking his kids up because they're about to be evicted from their home. And he's like, hey, if the house is on fire, what would you take with you? We got to go right now where the cops are outside.
Well, he doesn't say any of that, though.
Right. But that's the intent, right? And so then this movie is a road movie, and it's really sweet and poignant. It's a three-hander. It's two young kids, a boy and a girl, and John Magaro, who's was in past lives. You recognize if you once you see him.
And Kelly Reichardt films.
Yes, and he's amazing. And like nobody has a hangdog face like John Magaro does.
You just said hangdog.
Hangdog face. Lots of people have a hangdog face. hangdog face. And so it's a road movie, right? We know that they're whatever's happened to them, and when we get through basically kind of conversations that we know the mother's was out of the picture. Right. We don't necessarily know that she's dead, but we kind of get the idea. And can we ruin this one, or did we? So it's basically a plot where we told you what happens, right? We told you that the premise is that these kids are going to be abandoned. This guy is desperate. He doesn't know what to do. He's lost his wife. He's lost his home. His car barely runs, and they're headed to Omaha. And the two young kids, a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old, don't know why. They just think they're on this trip because they're having to leave their home. And it is a 85-minute gut punch the entire way. And there's a beat that happens about halfway through the film, and then that really sucks because you're like, holy shit, that sucks. And then you're like, well, surely at some point this is going to get easier to watch, right? There's going to be some sort of, they're going to get to a beach or something. There's a moment of levity when they go to the Omaha Zoo, and then it gets really rough. And man, this was a weird way to kick off the festival.
Dude, I know. So I wonder, because it was full too.
Right. Yeah.
It was a pretty full theater, and then Salamander King was playing this. Omaha played at 6:30. Salamander King played at 7:15. So,
and we saw a screener of Salamander King.
Right.
So.
And so I do wonder, how many people were sort of thinking of Salamander King as the kickoff.
Right.
But this one was first, and it's just, it's a strange way to open the festival. I mean, I think it's a really good film. I think the performances are wonderful. And it's really beautiful.
The kids are amazing. John McGarrell is always amazing, so I'm not going to leave that there. But the kids they're never cloying. They're never and they never seemed. I mentioned to you out in the lobby that it was like a less loud Florida project.
Right.
But I do think Baker kind of hangs his hat on this almost hyper realism of his films, right?
Yeah.
It's almost where these people, no one would talk like people in Baker films.
They're cranked up.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think, while I love the kids in Florida Project, I think these guys in this film are so much more subdued and natural and realistic that they were just incredible.
And the young girl, I think, is really incredible. The way that she sort of registers recognition of certain things on her face.
Yeah.
The way that she takes on responsibility in a very kind of subtle way, right? The way we see that happening to her as she is also then coming to realize. Yeah, I mean, I thought she was the mid beat
where she's apologizing to her father fuck me, man, that was incredible. Almost to the point where I know this is getting distribution. I hope she gets some recognition. Aside from just other jobs, this is Anna Paquin in the piano. This is Tatum O'Neal in Paper Moon.
Yeah.
This is that level of child actress.
Yeah, it's every bit as good as
it's incredible. And it's such a small movie that it's unlikely that'll happen. Especially because the distributor probably won't, submit like that. But this,
but maybe like Independent Spirit Awards.
Yeah, maybe. It is a performance that is truly, truly noteworthy.
The chemistry between all three of them, I think, is really good as well.
Yeah,
because they play this. There's a real sense of love between the three of them. I mean, regardless of the Magaro character's choices. I mean, he is, at least in his own mind, doing this out of love, right? Making these decisions out of love, and there's a real tenderness between all three of them, even when they get in little fights, right? Even when, as is wont to happen, a father yells at a child, right? There's still a real when the little boy asked her if she was okay after she got yelled at,
right?
Oh man.
Yeah,
stuff like that is
really, really beautiful script, and I would say, as much as we heard the director after the film talking about the limitations of the budget, I would say this Like, I don't think any of that's present on screen.
No, not at all.
I don't think a single moment of this looks like a low budget film. If you'd have told me this cost $5 million, I would have believed it.
Yep, absolutely.
I think hats off to both the filmmaker and the editor.
I say it's edited really well.
It's really just and like, I mean, this guy coming from commercial work, and again, I'm not familiar with any of obviously his work, but the shit with the dog, like, I mean, like, how good, like,
I know
how good those scenes were. Like, I mean, I know we don't give awards to animals for acting, but
we should.
That dog was pretty fucking good.
That dog was really good. Yeah, that dog was great. That dog was great.
All right, and so the last...
Yeah, this was... I mean, no, I was just going to say, like, look for this film when it comes out. It's tough, but it's worth a watch. Okay.
It is, yeah. And I will say that knowing what we said about it at the beginning, if you don't think that's a film for you, it's not.
Yes.
Don't watch it.
Right.
I mean, like...
Right.
Watch, fast forward to the happy moments, but like don't watch.
There's like one.
Fast forward to the zoo, and then it's fine.
So another film that has some mixed emotions in it as well, or some like emotional manipulation.
Yeah.
That was an interesting part of this film. So this is Daniela Forever. This is Nacho Vigalando's new film,
which we're big fans.
Yes,
he's directed Time Crimes and Colossal. I'm trying to think what else he's done because the programmer mentioned 4 or 5 films, and I'm just like, I don't know what 4 or 5 films.
I know,
and like it's possible, but it's that we've missed 1 or 2. But
yeah, probably.
And which then I want to go back and watch because I was excited about this one because this was Nacho's film. I think, and all of his films take this kind of sci-fi aspect and then twist them a bit, add more to it. I wonder how much, again, distribution this one's going to actually get. But this is about... this movie kind of throws you in the deep end as far as like trying to figure it out.
Oh, yeah.
But ultimately what we get to is that this is a love story or it's a story about 2 lovers, and one of them has passed. And in order to get over the loss, the male ends up in this lucid dream
drug trial.
Yeah. So he can take this drug and create this world, and it's supposed to help him get over this major loss in his life.
Right.
But instead of where he's supposed to read these scenarios, you take the pill, you read these scenarios, and it's supposed to help you form the lucid dream. He spills water on the scenario, so he can't read it. He looks at his phone, he sees his ex-girlfriend, his dead girlfriend, and so all of his lucid. So he becomes enamored with this version of the girl that not only can manipulate in essence, really, right?
Yeah.
He can manipulate her memories. He can manipulate things, but he can also relive these moments. And he's also finding this power in the fact that he can control this world that he lives in.
I was going to say, it's not just he's enamored with her, this version of her, but this version of the world now, right?
Right. And the version of the world, and I think this is a brilliant choice. Is that the version of the world in lucid dreams is done in full anamorphic, it's done in high definition, and then when he goes back into his real life, it's 4:3. It is it's shot on video, or at least it looks like it is anyway. And so it's this kind of dull, muted, it's
washed out.
Yeah, it's not very exciting, right? And we cut back and forth, and that's how we know which world he's in. But ultimately, what happens is the drug trial. Because he's abusing it, he's running out of pills, just like any other sort of movie.
He's supposed to give these reports,
right? Well, what's actually happening, and he's just making them up, right?
Yeah.
I want to spend more time with this. It's way too dense to talk about, to kind of really dig into the themes.
Right. Well, it's I need to watch it again too. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
We need to watch it again and spend a full 2 hours talking about this.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. This one, we were both right about being excited about this one, and I think. So I'm ecstatic that was there. I'm excited we got to see it early. It's one of those films if it doesn't get this is the type of film that I love to see at festivals like this, because if it doesn't get distribution, or it gets light distribution, or for whatever reason gets lost in the shuffle, it's one of those ones that I like to pull out of and put for the Mystery Movie Mini-thon at some point.
Right.
Like it just
That'd be a good one.
Yeah, this is like, this feels like 9 Days, kind of with a mix of with Strawberry Mansions, but not quite as quirky, obviously. But Nacho kind of has that same sort of sensibility, right? I loved Colossal for the same reason.
He's a little bit more mean.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
And I think what comes out of this, all of the self-realization and the understanding that like you don't really truly know your partner,
right?
And that I love that, not to give too much away, but the realization that sometimes the best thing you can do is to remove yourself from a situation altogether. There's a lot going on. I think the two leads, whereas I think they had great chemistry together. I was surprised
how good Henry Golding is. Every time I see him, I'm surprised how good he is and stuff.
Yeah.
That's a me problem, not a Henry Golding
not a
problem.
Henry Golding, right.
And I thought he hit so many different registers in this film.
Yeah.
Right, of going from completely devastated and sad to then hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my God, dude, the shark with a gun.
Motherfucker, dude.
Get out of my water, you fucking tourist.
So there's a sequence where he's basically going back through his life and like giving her examples of things that she might have missed out on when they were together, like where they never talked about. And so they had an early job where he worked at a haunted house, and she was scared, so he allowed her to be a monster as well, and she chose the monster she wanted to be, which was a shark with a gun. And it doesn't sound funny on paper, but trust us, when she's like, because she's got this ridiculous shark head on that's like pointed forward, but so you don't really look like a shark. She looks like she's wearing a Jaws costume, but like not the full thing, just the head. And she's shooting a gun just wild ass all over the place, up in the air. This is kind of why.
Is this closed?
Yeah, this. No, you can take it right here. This is why I love going to film festivals. This is the type of movie that, like, again, because this type of film. Now, Nacho being who he is and having, the releases that he has, and the credibility. I don't think this was going to get lost, but it's not. One, it's cool to see it early, and then two, I think that if it does happen to get lost in the shuffle, that's the hardest thing about going to these, right? Is that like there are going to be films that we see here that are like, I really want to revisit, and like you just never know when if they'll ever see the light of day,
right? But I think this is a really inventive film in terms of structure, how it looks, right? His use of those different formats, and I also think it's dense thematically. So there's so much to unpack in multiple viewings, and again, the performances from the two leads are really fantastic. So I mean, this is a film that has kind of all of that put together, and I think it's going to be a joy to see again. Absolutely. I don't really have much more to say about it other than like, I mean, I think it was a pretty good day one. I do too. How do you feel about the new location?
So I'd never been to a Sinopolis before, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I liked it. I think this is a big upgrade. No offense to the Violet Crown, because I like that theater, but like I think this is a big upgrade for a festival. And I was always like, when they had it at Violet Crown, it felt like it was too big to be there. Right. And it felt like it was, because like it felt like it needed to be at two different places. It felt like it needed to be at the Angelica and the Violet Crown. Right. And the Angelica was the house of, the home of the USA Film Festival, which we won't talk about. But like, unless they invite us out for some reason, then we'll talk about it. But
like the way you said it, I was like, we will not talk about that.
Well, I don't want to, nothing nice to say.
First rule of DIFF is you don't talk about.
We don't talk about other film festivals. But I like that theater. I like that area down there. And so I'm excited that, my only complaint is that the seats are a little bit too comfortable.
Because you almost fell asleep.
I almost fell asleep.
times.
Well, because Omaha was like, and that, but Omaha was quiet, and that just kind of lulled you to sleep.
But also, it like wore you the fuck out.
Yeah, it did wear you the fuck out. I was unexpectedly tired when we got into Daniela Forever. I was like, I felt the day weighing on me a little bit. So like,
and it's just the first day.
It's just the first day.
Showing your age, why?
Buckle up. Yeah, it's gonna be a goddamn. By next Friday, we're gonna be dead.
This coming from the guy who's scheduled like movies in between movies for us to go see.
Yes.
Hey, we've got 2 free hours. Let's go fight.
Right. We got 120 minutes. Let's get all the way across town to get to see another movie that neither one of us care about seeing. I hear
we care all about.
Right. Yeah.
About all movies.
All the movies we care about. That's why we're seeing.
All movies matter.
That's why we're seeing the Minecraft movie 3 times this week.
Wait, I thought we were going 4 times.
Hey, we are. I just didn't want to. 3 seemed like
and the 4th is a surprise.
Right, the 4th was right.
I ruined it.
That's okay. It's okay.
Not the first time.
But that's day 1, folks. And we'll be back with another 5 days? Because we're not going on Wednesday.
Right.
But because we've got our own signature screening on Wednesday.
5 days of recap.
Crazy. Like 30 movies in the next however many days.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. Until then, I don't know. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Keep screaming.